In a busy city where the streets were lined with tall buildings and the air buzzed with the sound of life, there lived a girl named Sarah. Unlike the other children who played in the parks and laughed freely, Sarah always had a serious look on her face. No one had ever seen her smile. Sarah lived with her aunt, who ran a small flower shop on the corner of a busy street. The shop was filled with the fragrance of roses, lilies, and jasmine. People came from all over the city to buy her aunt's flowers, which were said to be the most beautiful in the area. Every day after school, Sarah would sit in the corner of the shop, doing her homework and watching the customers. They would often try to make her laugh with funny faces and jokes, but Sarah's expression never changed. "What's wrong, child? Why don't you smile?" they would ask. Sarah would simply shrug and turn back to her books. The truth was, Sarah didn't know why she never smiled. It wasn't that she was unhappy, she just didn't feel the urge to smile like everyone else did. One afternoon, a kind old man came into the shop. He noticed Sarah and walked over to her. "You know," he said gently, "the world is full of wonders. If you look for them, maybe you'll find a reason to smile." Sarah looked up, curious. "Wonders?" she repeated. "Yes," the man said, nodding. "Wonders, like the way the sun sets over the city buildings, turning the sky into a painting. Or how the rain can make the whole world seem fresh and new." The old man's words stayed with Sarah. That evening, she decided to take a walk. As she strolled through the city, she saw the sunset the man had described, and for the first time, she felt something stir within her. Days passed, and Sarah began to notice the small wonders all around her. The way a street musician's song could lift the spirits of passers-by. How a simple "thank you" from a customer could make her aunt's tired eyes light up, and the laughter of children playing in the park. With each wonder, Sarah felt her serious facade begin to crack. She started to understand what the old man meant, and one day, while helping a little boy pick out flowers for his mother, Sarah felt the corners of her mouth twitch upwards. The boy looked up at her and grinned. "You have a nice smile," he said. Sarah touched her face in surprise. She was smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in her life. It felt good, like sunshine breaking through clouds. From that day on, Sarah found reasons to smile every day. She realized that smiles were like flowers in her aunt's shop. They needed the right conditions to bloom. And just like the flowers, her smile brought beauty and joy to those around her. Sarah's smile became her gift to the world, a reminder that even in a busy city, there are wonders that can make us all smile. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself smiling more and more. The city, with its endless hustle and bustle, no longer seemed like a gray canvas but rather a vibrant tapestry of life. She began to take different routes from school, exploring new neighborhoods and discovering hidden gems. One day, while wandering through an old part of the city, Sarah stumbled upon a small park she had never seen before. It was tucked away between two buildings, like a secret garden. The park was filled with flowers of every color imaginable, and in the center was a playground with children laughing and playing. Sarah sat on a bench, watching the children. Their joy was infectious, and she found herself laughing along with them. It was then that she noticed an elderly man sitting at the other end of the bench. He was watching the children too, but his eyes were sad. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Sarah said, trying to make conversation. The man nodded. "Yes, it is. But it reminds me of my granddaughter. She used to love coming here." Sarah could see the pain in the man's eyes and felt a tug at her heart. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "Do you want to talk about it?" The man hesitated, then began to tell Sarah about his granddaughter, Lily, who had moved away with her parents to a far-off city. He missed her terribly and came to the park every day, hoping to relive the memories of the times they spent together. Sarah listened intently, her smile fading as she felt the man's sorrow. She wanted to help, to bring back the smile to his face. An idea sparked in her mind. "Would you like to make a video message for her? We could send it to her," Sarah suggested. The man's face lit up. "That would be wonderful, but I don't know how to do such things." "Don't worry, I can help," Sarah said, pulling out her phone. They spent the next hour recording a message for Lily. The man told her how much he missed her and shared stories of the park. By the end, he was smiling through his tears. Sarah sent the video, and not long after, they received a reply. Lily's face appeared on the screen, full of happiness and surprise. She thanked her grandfather and promised to visit soon. The man hugged Sarah. "Thank you, my dear. You've brought joy to an old man's heart." Sarah's own smile returned, wider than ever. She realized that her smile had the power to heal, to connect, and to bring hope. From that day on, Sarah became known as the girl who brought smiles to the city. She would listen to people's stories, share their joys and sorrows, and remind them of the wonders around them. And though the city was vast, and the people many, Sarah's smile became a symbol of the goodness that existed in every corner, in every street, and in every heart. Sarah's reputation as the girl who brought smiles to the city grew. People sought her out, not just for flowers from her aunt's shop, but for a few moments of conversation, a shared laugh, or a glimpse of the wonders she saw. One chilly winter morning, Sarah noticed an old man sitting on a bench near the river. His coat was threadbare, and his eyes held a weariness that touched her heart. She sat down beside him, her breath forming clouds in the frosty air. "Good morning," Sarah said, her smile warm. "I'm Sarah." The old man nodded. "I'm Samuel," he replied. "I've been watching you, you know. Your smile, it's like a sunbeam breaking through the clouds." Sarah chuckled. "Thank you, Samuel, but what brings you to this cold bench?" Samuel's gaze drifted to the river. "Memories," he said. "This river, it holds stories of love and loss. I used to come here with my wife, Eleanor. We'd sit on this very bench, watching the water flow." Sarah leaned closer. "Tell me about her," she said. And so, Samuel began to weave a tale, a love story that spanned decades. Eleanor was an artist, her paintings capturing the colors of life. Samuel was a poet, his words echoing the whispers of the wind. They met in this very park, under the cherry blossom trees. Eleanor's laughter was like birdsong, and Samuel's smile was a promise. They fell in love, their hearts entwined like the ivy on the park's stone walls. But life had other plans. Samuel's job took him away, and Eleanor's health declined. They exchanged letters, their words like lifelines across the distance. And then, one winter, Samuel received a letter, a farewell, written by Eleanor's trembling hand. "She left me," Samuel said, his voice cracking. "She left me with memories and this bench." Sarah listened, tears in her eyes. "But why don't you smile?" she asked. "Eleanor would want you to." Samuel sighed. "I've forgotten how," he admitted. "The ache of loss. It stole my laughter." Sarah thought of the silver thread that connected hearts. "Maybe," she said, "we can mend it together." And so, Sarah and Samuel sat on the bench, sharing stories of Eleanor. They laughed and cried, their breaths visible in the frosty air. And then, as the sun peeked through the clouds, Sarah told Samuel about her own journey, the wonders she had discovered, the people she had met. "You see," Sarah said, "our smiles are like bridges. They connect us to the past, the present, and the future. Eleanor's smile lives on in your memories, just as my smile now warms this bench." Samuel wiped his eyes. "You're right," he said. "Maybe it's time to remember her with a smile." And so, Samuel closed his eyes, and Sarah closed hers. They imagined Eleanor's laughter, her vibrant spirit. And when they opened their eyes, they smiled. A shared smile, a bridge between generations. From that day on, Samuel visited the bench not just to mourn but to celebrate. He brought flowers, roses, lilies, and jasmine, to honor Eleanor's love for beauty. And sometimes, when the wind whispered through the cherry blossom trees, he could almost hear her laughter. As for Sarah, her silver thread continued to weave connections. She met a young artist who painted Eleanor's portrait, capturing her essence. And when Samuel saw the painting, tears filled his eyes. "You've given me back my smile," Samuel said to Sarah. "And Eleanor's too." And so, in that small park by the river, Sarah learned that smiles were not just for the living. They were bridges to the ones who had left footprints on our hearts. Sarah's reputation as the girl who brought smiles to the city spread far and wide. People from neighboring neighborhoods came to visit her aunt's flower shop, not just for the blooms but for a chance to talk to Sarah. She became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the busiest of places, kindness could flourish. One rainy afternoon, as Sarah arranged daffodils in a vase, a young man entered the shop. His eyes held a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "Hello," Evans said, his voice hesitant. "I've heard about you. The girl who can make anyone smile." Sarah chuckled. "Well, I try my best. What brings you here?" Evan opened his notebook, revealing pages filled with sketches. "I'm an artist," he said. "But lately, I've lost my inspiration. I used to see beauty everywhere, but now, it's like the colors have faded." Sarah studied the sketches. Dandelions caught in a breeze, raindrops on a windowpane, a child's laughter. "These are beautiful," she said. "But where's your smile?" Evan's expression darkened. "I lost it," he admitted. "Life got in the way. Bills, deadlines, expectations. I used to believe that art could change the world, but now, I'm not so sure." Sarah placed a sunflower in Evan's hand. "Maybe you need to find wonder again," she said. "Look beyond the gray, and you'll see the colors waiting to burst forth." Evan took the sunflower, its petals like rays of sunlight. How? He asked. Start small, Sarah said. Notice the raindrops on your window. Listen to the rhythm of the city. And most importantly, talk to people. Everyone has a story. Evan left the flower shop, his notebook clutched tightly. But he didn't go far. Instead, he sat on a bench in the nearby park, watching the rain. He observed the people, their hurried steps, their umbrellas, their expressions. And then, as if guided by Sarah's words, Evan began to sketch. He drew an old woman feeding pigeons, her smile wrinkling her face. He captured a child splashing in puddles, her laughter echoing. And he sketched Sarah herself, arranging flowers in her aunt's shop, her smile like a sunbeam. Days turned into weeks, and Evan's notebook filled with life. His colors grew bolder. The red of a ripe apple, the blue of a clear sky, the green of a park after rain. And in each sketch, he found a piece of his lost smile. One morning, Evan returned to the flower shop. Sarah was arranging tulips, her fingers gentle. Look, he said, showing her his latest sketch, a sunflower reaching for the sun. I found wonder again. Sarah's eyes sparkled. And your smile? Evan hesitated, then leaned closer. It's here, he whispered. In the colors, the rain, the people. Sarah handed him a daisy. Keep looking, she said. And remember that art isn't just on paper. It's in every moment. Evan nodded. Thank you, he said, for helping me find my way back. And so, Evan continued to sketch, capturing the city's heartbeat, the street vendors, the graffiti, the laughter in cafes. His art became a bridge, connecting him to the world and to his own soul. As for Sarah, her silver thread remained, a reminder that even a girl who never smiled could change lives. One sunflower, one sketch, one conversation at a time. As the seasons changed, so did the city. Sarah's smile became a familiar sight, a sunflower in a concrete jungle. People no longer asked why she smiled. They simply accepted it as part of the city's rhythm. Evan's art flourished too. His sketches adorned gallery walls, capturing the essence of life. The street vendors' stories, the graffiti's rebellion, the laughter in cafes. And in each stroke, he felt Eleanor's presence, guiding his hand. One day, as Sarah walked through the park, she noticed a new bench. It was made of polished wood, its inscription fresh. For Sarah, the girl who brought smiles. Beside the bench sat Samuel, his eyes brighter than ever. Thank you, he said. Eleanor visited me in a dream. She told me to pass on her smile. Sarah sat down, her heart full. And you, Samuel, have you found your smile? Samuel pointed to the children playing on the swings. Their laughter, he said. It's Eleanor's echo. And so, Sarah continued her journey, her silver thread connecting hearts across the city. She met a homeless man who shared stories of lost dreams, a musician who composed melodies of hope, and an immigrant who painted murals of resilience. But there was one person Sarah hadn't seen in a while, Evan. His sketches had disappeared from the park, and the flower shop buzzed with rumors. One rainy afternoon, Sarah received a letter. It was from Evan, inviting her to an art exhibition. She arrived at the gallery, her heart racing. The walls were adorned with his paintings, sunflowers, rain-soaked streets, and a girl who never smiled. And there, in the center of the room, was a portrait, a sunflower reaching for the sun, its petals like rays of hope. Beneath it, a note, for Sarah. Evan appeared beside her, his eyes searching. "I found it," he said. "My smile." Sarah hugged him. "And Eleanor's?" Evan nodded. "She's here too," he whispered. In every stroke, as the city celebrated Evan's art, Sarah realized that her purpose had evolved. She was no longer just the girl who smiled. She was a bridge, a silver thread connecting lives, memories, and dreams. And so, in that gallery, surrounded by colors and whispers, Sarah smiled. She knew that her journey wasn't over. It was an unending story, a symphony of souls. And as she looked at Evan's sunflower, she whispered, "Thank you." And so it goes.